Feudal Japan. When we think of samurais, the image that comes to mind is that of honorable, loyal, and unbeatable warriors, almost as if they were figures straight out of a legend. These iconic Japanese fighters, who dominated the historical landscape of feudal Japan for centuries, embody values such as discipline, courage, and a profound sense of duty. But is this view true to reality?
先生、私たちはここで本当に何をしたのですか？我々は戦うべき時に逃げ、風服した男たちを殺した。私たちの勇気はどこにありますか？そして、私たちの名誉のコードは、
これは決して勇気の問題ではなかった、勝美。それは違うこと、外見を保つことについてのものであった。コードは刃物を手にしたことのない人が書く。ここには唯一のルールがあります。買うこと、さもなくば捨て去ざられます。
しかし先生、私たちは侍であり、他の戦士とは異なります。
真実は、勝美。侍は神聖な戦士ではないということです。私たちはただ、より上手に振る舞うことを学んだ戦争の犬です。
For centuries, samurais have been hailed as examples of courage, honor, and discipline. Movies, books, and animes have created an almost mythical image of these warriors, portraying them as unbeatable and devoted to an unyielding code of honor. But what if this image was a false construct? What if, instead of immortal heroes, the samurais were just ordinary men driven by selfishness, fear, and ambition? To what extent are the legends about samurais real? Welcome, noble Templars travelers! Today, we'll uncover the myth and reveal the true story behind these legendary warriors. The story of the samurais is far from a tale of perfection. Many of the virtues attributed to them, such as unwavering loyalty and boundless courage, are exaggerations made over time to preserve their heroic image. In reality, many samurais were more focused on power and status than any ethical code. Their actions reflected personal and selfish interests, not the pursuit of honor. Did the samurais really live by the honor code we so often praise? Or were they more focused on their own survival and power? Historians like Stephen Turnbull and William Wayne Ferris argue that the samurai class was made up of individuals whose behaviors varied depending on the time period, the clan, and the political circumstances. While some followed principles of honor, others were more concerned with their personal ambitions and the struggle for power. In the upcoming chapters, we will examine real historical examples that reveal a very different side of the samurais, far from the idealized image that popular culture has perpetuated. Get ready to understand how the mythologizing of this figure has distorted our perception of their true nature.
田中さん、よく見てください。これらの侍は名誉について語りますが、彼らの金は他のどの者のものと同じくらい良いのです。彼らは最も多くの報酬を支払う大名に忠誠を売ります。別の領主がより多くの国を提供すれば、躊躇うことなく側を変えます。
しかし、戦士の名誉について聞いた話はどうでしょうか。
名誉？名誉は腹を満たすものではありません。彼らは美しい肩書きを持つ傭兵であり、修道士ではありません。彼らは土地と権力のために戦っています。いくつかは栄光のために、他は必要のために、そしてほとんど誰も名誉のためではありません。結局、すべての側が価格で売られるとき、名誉とは何なのでしょうか。
では、彼らがそれが象徴するものを尊重しないのなら、なぜ完璧な剣を作るのに 数ヶ月も冷やすのでしょうか。
芸術は死なない、友よ。だが、傭兵の手によって握られるものは、戦争が要求する以上のものは持たないかつより、あなたの芸術を生かし続けてください。もしかしたらそれがこの時代に残されている美しいもの、すべてかもしれません。
The book Bushidō, The Soul of Japan by Inazu Nitobe was central to spreading this vision in the West, creating the idea of Bushidō as an immutable code of virtue. Nitobe defined Bushidō as the ways that noble warriors should observe in their daily life and vocation, typified by 7 virtues: justice, heroic courage, benevolence, compassion, respect, honesty, honor, and duty and loyalty. However, the samurai did not follow a formal set of rules as is commonly portrayed. Historians like William Wayne Ferris emphasize that Bushido was a later invention, reflecting Japanese nationalism more than any feudal tradition. Bushido did not exist in a structured form during the samurai era. It was an invention created to meet the needs of a nation undergoing modernization and asserting itself on the global stage. With Bushido debunked, let's explore another characteristic often attributed to the samurai: loyalty. Was this loyalty truly unwavering, or did it in fact adapt to personal interests? Let's find out.
Hagehiro, tatakai. Mada kateru.
私はここで死ぬわけにはいかない。生き延びようとせずには。逃げなければ私たちは間引きされます。
さあ行け。でも自分が背負っている恥を忘れないで。
The loyalty of the samurai, often exalted as unwavering, was, in reality, frequently flexible. When their own interests were at stake, many samurai did not hesitate to abandon their lords or allies. Instead of dying for honor, as the myths suggest, many preferred to flee or even betray to ensure their own survival. Violence, a common part of samurai life, was often justified by trivial reasons. Samurai frequently killed others over simple provocations, such as a challenging glance or a disrespectful word. This reveals how honor was often little more than an excuse for violent and impulsive action. Violence was not just a matter of combat, it was used to assert power, a tool to maintain control and intimidate. Morality was often absent, replaced by the desire to assert authority. And what about the famous sword tests? Did you know that samurai trained and used their katana skill even on corpses and living prisoners? Sword tests, known for involving the practice of katana skills on corpses or even live prisoners, are another example of how violence was ingrained in samurai training. These tests not only demonstrated skill but also a lack of compassion, reflecting a mindset focused on the brutal use of force. There are historical records of these practices. The act of testing swords, known as tameshigiri, was indeed practiced during the samurai era. While today it is associated with cutting straw mats or bamboo to test a blade's sharpness and the swordsman's skill, historical accounts reveal much darker aspects of this practice. Although courage and loyalty are often exalted, many samurai were more interested in their social ascent and power. In feudal Japan, a samurai's prestige was closely tied to their ability to control land and resources. Status was more important than any moral duty or loyalty to a lord. Have you ever considered that the true driving force behind the actions of many samurai was not honor, but a thirst for power? The stories of figures like Oda Nobunaga and Tokugawa Ieyasu show us how personal ambition often outweighed any moral values. Nobunaga manipulated alliances to consolidate his position, while Ieyasu, after his victory at the Battle of Sekigahara, solidified his position as shogun. Both prioritized their personal ambitions, sacrificing allies and principles in favor of their own interests. Loyalty, when it existed, was flexible and conditioned by personal gain. But what does this reveal about the relationships between samurai? Could it be that true camaraderie, the brotherhood we so often see in stories, was nothing more than an illusion? After demystifying the image of samurai as unbeatable heroes, it becomes clear that the true legacy of these warriors does not lie in their virtues, but in the way their figure has been shaped over time. The mythification of the samurai is not about their actions or character, but about the construction of a narrative that has echoed throughout history. But what truly remains of the samurai? Has their real history been buried beneath the creation of an idealized and manipulated image? Let's examine the impact this mythification has had, especially in modern Japan. The greatest legacy of the samurai is not a lesson in morality, but the creation of their very image. Books, films, and even modern philosophies have perpetuated a distorted ideal of the samurai, associating them with an immortal Superman, defined by honor and courage. But the reality was quite different. Many samurai were more concerned with their own well-being and status than with any greater cause. The idealization of the samurai also played a fundamental role in the construction of modern Japan. During the Meiji period and the rise of Japanese imperialism, the image of the samurai was used as a tool to create a national identity based on values of loyalty and courage. However, over time, this image drifted further and further from historical reality. So what can we learn from this construction? Could it be that by celebrating this legendary figure, we are in fact merely reinforcing an image that does not reflect the true nature of the samurai? Historians such as Terry Bennett and Michael Wert discuss how the idealization of the samurai was a product of Japanese nationalism, particularly during the Meiji period, when Japan sought to reaffirm its identity in the face of the Western world. The figure of the samurai as a noble and devoted warrior was created to meet these ideological needs. Nowadays, the image of the samurai remains a metaphor for strength and honor. However, this idealization often obscures the reality of their origins. What remains of the samurai is not his true history, but a symbolism. The samurai were not the ideal of unwavering honor and courage often portrayed. They were men, women, with their own flaws, selfishness, and cowardice. Their actions did not always align with the virtue that popular culture attributes to them. The true history of the samurai is more human and flawed, diverging from the idealized image we so often celebrate. As we continue to admire these historical figures, we must remember that the myth is often more alluring than reality. Understanding the true samurai means looking beyond the myths and recognizing the humanity, flaws, and contradictions of these historical figures. By doing so, we gain not only a more accurate perspective on the samurai, but also a deeper understanding of how societies shape and reshape history to meet their present needs. Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploring the true history of the samurai. By demystifying the myths surrounding these iconic figures, we hope to have provided a new perspective on the past and its complexities. If you enjoyed this content and want to continue exploring more legends and historical realities, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give it a like, and share this video with friends who are also interested in history. And you already know, I'll see you on the next journey. Bye!